everyone, it's Vivian. Welcome to episode 9 of Sit and Knit with Vivette. Hello and welcome to all my returning viewers, and hello and a big welcome to all my extra new subscribers that have joined since my last podcast. I've gained over 40 new subscribers, so you're very welcome. I hope you enjoy what you see, and I look forward to you coming back again and watching some more episodes. So for those of you that are new, this is a little bit about myself. My name is Vivian and I live in Essex with my partner Sean and our cat Bonnie. And during the day I run my own business as a virtual assistant for small businesses, and when I'm not working I'm crafting. My main craft is knitting, but I also do some sewing, some weaving and some cross stitch, and also occasionally some crochet, but that's mainly in the winter when I want to crochet a blanket. So like I say, my name is Vivian, but I am known as Vivette B1 across social media. I'm mainly active on Instagram, but I also have a Ravelry group with an introduction thread. It would be lovely if you could all pop over and just say hello and introduce about yourselves. I will put links below in the description box. So as you can see, for those of you that are returning, we have changed setting. We are no longer in my living room. We have moved into my office cum craft room, and you can see some of the things on the background there. And if I move away, you can see my beautiful new sewing machine that I've recently got. It's a Janome, so I'm really enjoying learning to use it. So that's all the admin stuff done, so let's crack on with some knitting. So my finished objects for this month are 3 pairs of socks and a hat. So those of you that are new, I started this podcast off in January as I'm knitting hats for the homeless to be gifted by a local charity at the end of the year. And I thought by recording the podcast it would be a really good way for me to stay on track and be accountable, basically, that I've actually managed at least one per month. And I have done that so far. So this is the one that I've done for this month. This is just another one done on the loom. And it's an Aran weight that I got from the Knitting and Stitching show that's held at Ali Pali about 2015. 2015 I got it. So 4 years ago. It's 400 gram balls, and I got 3 balls of it with the idea of actually knitting a jumper, which I've never got round to doing. And subsequently the yarn has been used for other things like scarves and hats and gloves and stuff like that. So I'm now just down to the last 400 gram ball that I'm going to knit some more hats with and do another one on the loom. So that is my first finished object, which is another hat for the homeless that will be going into the pile to be gifted at the end of the year. My next one is a pair of socks, and these are a Christmas gift for Sean's brother. So this is them here, and as you can see, if I hold it this way, he has rather large feet. These have taken an age to do. I did them early on in the year and I was just like, oh, these are taking so long, so I put them to one side, and then I decided at the beginning of September, right, I must get as many of the Christmas gifts done so that they're done. And I haven't got to worry about it, and I'm not doing last minute knitting or whatever. So this is, I think, the hardest pair out of the way. So those are done, and they will be wrapped and gifted later on at Christmas, obviously. My next pair of socks are a pair of shorty socks. These are ones that I'd started when I was speaking to you last month, and I've now finished. I didn't take very long, and these are them here. And there's the other one. So these are just some vanilla shorties that I do. I do a 12 round cuff, and then I do about 1.5 inches to 2 inches in leg length, but I do it all as a one thing, and then I put an afterthought heel in afterwards. The colourways for this is the Mama J colourway by Suffolk Socks, and this is another one of her colourways that I've had for a couple of years. I've knit some other socks in it about 2 or 3 years ago, and this was the leftover. So out of a 100 gram skein of yarn, I can normally get a full length pair of socks and a pair of shorty socks if I do alternate toes and heels and cuffs. So that is my next pair of finished objects. My final finished object in the knitting section is my pumpkin patch socks, as I'm calling them. The pattern is the candy sock on Ravelry. This is a free pattern, and this is a fake cable. If I show you, it looks like a cable, but you don't actually use a cable needle. It's all done with knit 2 togethers and yarn overs and things like that. The colourway that I'm using is a sock set by Ellie of Craft House Magic, and this is her pumpkin patch colourway, and she teams it with a little green to go with it, which is lovely. And this was such a beautiful yarn to knit up. it was really, really lovely to knit, and I thoroughly enjoyed doing it. And again, I put afterthought heels in. So those are my 3rd finished objects on knitting. So now I can tell you about the whips that I'm doing with knitting. So as you can see, I've changed the format around. I thought I'd do all one subject first, so knitting first, and then I'll go on to sewing, and then on to something else. So a little bit different. Do feedback what you think, if you prefer to have all of the finished objects and then all of the whips and all the rest of it. So, but anyway, here is my first work in progress for knitting. And again, it's Christmas related. My partner Sean, who said to me, I've got enough socks, I don't need any more socks, is getting exceptionally bright Christmas socks. I'm calling these his elf socks. So this is the first one, and the yarn that I'm using is King Cole Zigzag, and it's in their Christmas colourway. I think it is this year's colourway, I'm not sure. And I'm teaming it up with a red, bright red Drops Fable. I have quite a stash of different colours of Drops Fable because I find it's really, really good for toes and heels and cuffs. I mean, 50 gram balls, you could quite easily get a pair of socks out of these, but I find it's really good for using contrast, and I've got quite a few of them in different colours. So that is my first work in progress. So I'm just putting the cuff on the first one. I've put a lifeline in where I want my afterthought heels to go, and then I shall start knitting the second one. So he will be having for Christmas Day exceptionally bright socks, and that will teach him to say, I don't need any more socks. My second whip is another pair of socks, and again these are for me. So this is the first one, excuse my lifelines, but I find that easier to put the afterthought heel in. So this is my first one. These are using some yarn that I did a swap with the lovely Barbara, who is Knitting I Love. She has a podcast, and I will link to it below. Lovely podcast. She's based in Ireland, and I went to Woolen in Dublin in May, and we did a swap there of yarn. And she's knit socks with the yarn that I swapped with her, and this is my second pair as of ones, and I'm now on the second sock, and I have a little sock progress keeper, as you do. So those are my second whips, and what I'm doing with these ones is I'm just knitting until I've literally come to the end of the yarn, and then I'm putting alternate heels and cuffs in. Again, it's a Drops Fable, and it's in like a neutral grey colour, so that's fitting in quite nicely. So those are my 2 socks. So I like to have 2 socks on the go at any one time, because there are times when I just need to knit in the round and not actually have to concentrate on anything. And socks are my go-to, especially this time of year, because I do love my hand knit socks to wear in the winter. My next whip is a jumper for myself, and when I showed you this last month, I had literally just cast it on. So I shall show you my progress so far. Hold on a moment. This is the Pavement sweater. And so if I wheel back a little bit, you'll see it better. Hold on a moment. I'll just get myself organised. Excuse me. So if I hold back, you'll be able to see it slightly better. This is really lovely to knit. And the yarn that I'm using for this is King Cole Baby Spot in the slate colourway. So it's a really pale grey with like little dark spots of grey and a bluey grey as well. So that's really, really nice. And that's the Pavement sweater. I'm got about 3 or 4, maybe 5 centimetres left to do before I start putting the short rows in, so that you get the hem line at the back. Again, really, really lovely. It's a paid for pattern on Ravelry, but I know it's one that lots of people have done, and it's great in the evening. Once you get past all the increases and you're literally just sitting and doing the round and round knitting, it's great. My next whip is another jumper. So I was sitting having a conversation with Sean the other week, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he just comes out with, what jumper are you knitting me for Christmas? And I kind of like went, what would you like? Eek, hadn't thought of doing the jumper for Christmas. He said, oh, a round neck one this year. So I had a look in my stash, and I had quite a bit of Special Starcraft in the Aran weight. This is the parchment colourway. So he's getting, and I'm not far into it, so it might be a bit difficult to show you. He's getting the flax. So I'm just doing the increases. So this is a pattern by Tin Can Knits on Ravelry. I think it's a free pattern, but I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. And I'm just literally doing the increases. But what he likes about it is it's got this like garter stitch panel that runs all the way down the sleeve. So down here and all the way down, he quite likes that. I'm enjoying the fact that it's Aran, so it's a really quick knit. And like I say, once I've got 2 more rounds of increases to do, and then I can split for the arms, and then I'm just going to be sitting knitting in the round again until I get to the ribbon at the bottom. So again, a really quick knit. What I love about the Tin Can Knits patterns is they come in sizes from 0 to 6 months all the way up to a 58-inch chest. So that's really, really great it's really versatile for anyone basically. So that is going to be his Christmas jumper, and I think I will actually be able to get it done in time because it is Aran and it is a really quick knit. So that's that one. My final work in progress is my Cozy Memories blanket that I talked to you about last month. I've done quite a bit since I saw you last. Let me get it the right way around. That's back to front. Yes, back to front. So when I spoke to you last time, I just got to this green square here. So since then, I've done all of that row and 3/4 of the row above. And as you can see, I'm not really doing it, it's quite random. Back a bit, you can see it even better. It's quite random, but it's just using lots of leftover yarn that I have and some minis that I've had from clubs and things like that. So I'm really enjoying knitting this. Again, it's one that for an evening when I don't want to have anything that I don't need to concentrate on, it's great. And I'm trying to get at least 1 square a day done. It doesn't always happen, but it's quite good. I think this will become a cat blanket because every time she sees it, she's on it. If there's a bit of it lying down beside me where I'm knitting, she's on it, as though to say, that's mine, don't forget that. So I have a feeling that will become a cat blanket. So that's all that I have for you in the knitting section. So now I'll talk a little bit about my sewing. So as I mentioned earlier, I've acquired a new machine, a Janome. I can't remember what the number is, but I will put it in the below. My friend Claire, who runs Beautiful Things Craft Studio in Brentwood, is a stockist for Janome. So she said to me, oh, and I would look, I had a brother, just a very basic brother that somebody had bought for me as a present many, many, many years ago. But it didn't do all the things I wanted to do because I wanted to do some quilting and I wanted to do some free machine embroidery, and it just wasn't capable of managing that. So I upgraded to a Janome. Oh, and it's lovely. It's got a cut button and everything. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. But it really has helped me get back into my sewing, and I'm really enjoying it, and I try to do at least 1 bit of sewing a week. So with that in mind, I've got some ideas for Christmas. But the first thing that I did make, and I actually made this with Claire at her studio, so it wasn't technically on the new machine, is this reading cushion. So it's got a slot where you can put your cable in, my Kindle in rather, and it also here you can put your glasses in, but I've actually put my little Kindle light, attachable light in it, so it's all together. So it's a really thing, and then it's got poppers at the back. It's a lovely class to do. I did 2 in about 3 hours, so it doesn't take long, but it's really lovely. You've got beautiful watching instructions as well, so I can see me making a couple more of these for presents for people going forward. But so that was my first sewing finished object. My second finished object on the sewing side, excuse me while I put everything down, was hand sewing, and I decided that I needed some pumpkins, little pumpkins. I did these mainly so I could photograph all my autumn things with pumpkins in them. Yes. These are a hand sewn, and the fabric I used is fabric that I'd made a shift dress with Claire many moons ago. We're going back again another 3 years or so, and this is the leftover scraps that I've had, so it was ideal. So it's very autumnal, and I just used a little cinnamon stick to make the thing. The tutorial is by Dainty Dress Diaries on YouTube, and again I will link to it below. She has loads of DIY tutorials and crafting tutorials and stuff like that. So those are my other little sewing projects for this month, and they're so cute. We do have a third one. I made one for the cat, and I put some catnip in it, but I can't show you that one because it has been woolered, is the word I could use, woolered. She thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know if it's the toy or if it's the catnip. I suspect it's the catnip, but she has absolutely gone to town on it. So I think I might have to go back to making her woolen toys because they seem to last a little bit longer. So that's my sewing projects. I do have some more sewing projects in mind. I'm going to do an advent calendar this year, and I've bought one of the panels where they've already got the numbers and everything printed on them, and then you put them together. That was by You, Me and Mabel, but it's put away in my box, so I shall show you that another time. So the other finished objects that I've got have been on the weaving side. So as I talked about last episode, I went to a weaving class with Tribe Yarns down in Richmond in Surrey beginning of last September, and I have some finished objects from that since. I bought the loom while I was there and I finished it. So this is one piece. The other piece is actually in use. It's being used as a table runner for the coffee table, but it's the same sort of thing. So I'll have to reel back. I haven't done anything with this yet except for finishing it. So this is it here. So the yarn I used for this is the dark burgundy. The solid burgundy is West Yorkshire Spinners in their Air DK, and this multicoloured one here, which is absolutely beautiful, is the If I Want Exposure from the Countess of Blaze. If I Want Exposure, I'll Get My Tits Out collective. And again, so this one is slightly longer, as you can see. I haven't woven any ends in, and I haven't blocked it yet. But Claire and I are going to turn this into a project bag. And at the moment I'm weaving a smaller version of exactly the same, so that Claire can practice on that one and make a small pouch, which before we tackle this one. I did learn something new recently, is that you block weaving, similar to how you would do knitting, but you don't pin it out. So unlike knitting where you block it to open up the weave, open up the stitches, with weaving you just want to even them out. So you do block it gently in water, but you just lay it flat and let it dry naturally. So that's my next job once I finish the other one. So that is my weaving. So those are all of my finished objects and all of my whips. So all that's left are treats. So I have a couple of treats. I'm just going to pick one of them up that's fallen on the floor. Hold on a moment. Right, so I might as well use one that's fallen on the floor for. So as you've just recently seen in my finished objects, I knit some socks using some yarn by Ellie of Craft House Magic called Pumpkin Patch. Well, I picked up one of her Christmas carollaways. Now, I don't know if this is her this year's Christmas carolaway or if it's one that she had in her stock and whether she's going to be doing another one or not. But it's this here. It's called Last Christmas, and it's a very, very pale green with lots of little specks on it which are to signify fairy lights. Now, it comes with a green mini, and she also very kindly enclosed one of her other little minis in here. But I've decided I'm not going to use the green mini on this one. I'm going to team it with some bright pink. So I think that would go quite well together. So they are going to be my Christmas socks. So Sean is going to have very loud and leery Christmas socks, and I'm going to have very pretty and dainty Christmas socks. So that was my first purchase. My second treat, I call them treats because they are treats, was actually my sewing machine. So that's one big treat. My second treats, which are slightly smaller, came from Suffolk Socks. So Julie, who is the owner behind Suffolk Socks and also the dyer behind the yarn tart, has branched out and she's doing some kits, some tapestry kits, some cross-stitch kits, some needle crafts and all that, and under the banner of Spare Moments, which is something that she used to have when she had a bricks and mortar shop. And I like cross-stitch and I like hand sewing and stuff like that. So the one that she's recently released, and this is one of them, are these here. So this is a little robin, and I've decided that I'm going to do that to decorate the tree. So you get everything in the kit. So you have the wool mix felt, the embroidery cotton, the ribbon, the toy filling, the needle, the clear instructions, the pattern. The only thing you don't have is a pair of scissors. And I have multiple pairs of scissors lying around the house, so that's not a problem. So that is, I can start this now. I wanted to save it so I could show you it in the box because that would be easier. So I shall be doing this over the next month or so, ready to show you either in November's, either in November's podcast, no, October's podcast or November's podcast, ready to be hung for Christmas. Whilst I was picking up the kit, Julie also had the new West Yorkshire Spinners Christmas colourway in, which is called Robin. And this is it here. It's part of their birds collection. It's absolutely beautiful. As you can see, that gives you really good colour definition. And this will be coming at a Christmas pair of socks, probably for next year. I do have a tendency to buy them when I see them, and they don't automatically get knit up that Christmas. They might be for next year, so in case there's a colourway that comes out next year that I'm not so keen on, then I've got these ones. These will probably be Sean's socks for Christmas next year, but to be honest, he would wear them all year round because he wouldn't see them as a Christmas colourway. He would just see them as a pair of socks. So they will be knit into Sean's. I'm quite lucky in that because Sean is a size 9, I can quite often get him a full length pair of socks, and then I can get myself some shorty socks out of the same ones if I add a colour, if I use different colours for the heels, toes and cuffs. So out of 100 grams I can normally get a full size pair of socks for him and a short pair for me, which is great. I really enjoy that because I like this as well for me. So that's that one. So those are all of my treats. So that's all of it for this week. Thank you very much. One final thing before I go. I did say that when I reached 100 subscribers, I would do a small giveaway. A couple of months ago, I test knit a pair of socks for Barbara, one of her test knitters, who is Knitting I Love that I mentioned earlier. And it's called the Trip for Two socks. And I will put a picture up here of the finished objects. And she very kindly gifted me a second copy to give away as a prize. So I did say that when I reached 100 subscribers, I would do that. And I'm now at 135. So thank you to all of my new ones again for coming and joining us. And using Random Generator, I have drawn the winner for the pattern, who is Pink Poppy. So Pink Poppy, if you could drop me a message either on Instagram or on Ravelry and let me know your Ravelry name, or if you don't have a Ravelry account, your email address, and I will arrange for the pattern to be sent across to you. So again, well done to Poppy, Pink Poppy, and thank you to everyone who's come to check out my YouTube, my podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you like and subscribe it if you did enjoy it, and I hope to see you again soon. Take care everybody. Bye bye for now.